Okay, so now you can see why bones are a need for me this week. So, as I was saying in the last video, Maslow arranged the needs in a hierarchy because the upper level needs can't be met if the lower ones have not. So, what that is saying is that safety or that esteem level can't be met until the physiological have been met. If we don't have air to breathe, if we don't have food, if we don't have water to survive, then those other things don't matter. So make sure that you are able to explain that. Say you are hungry and that causes you to not be able to pay attention in class, for example, which happens often with the time that our class is. So that physiological need is you're hungry, you need food. Your body is telling you need food. So you can't pay attention, you can't focus in class, which would be another need. Okay, so let's switch gears just a little bit. Remember, we're doing chapters 16 through 20, so I'm compiling a lot of information into these slides. So you guys are thinking about your ad campaigns and what you're going to do. But before you can get in and start doing it, you have to have a plan. So many times when I was in advertising, advertisers excuse me, would say, can you come up with something? So the creative strategy really fell on me. And that plan is called the creative strategy. It is a planning document that includes the following things. It identifies the client's goals. Obviously, with anything that we do in life, we have to have a goal in mind. Otherwise, what are you working to achieve? Second, it needs to identify the audience to be reached. You have to know who you're targeting. Remember, we talked about the target audience. You have to know who you're trying to reach with a particular product or brand that you're putting out there. The third, you have to be able to define the product. You should know the product in and out. Fourth, outline the messages. What is that message that you are trying to get across? Is it that you have a new product? Is it that brand awareness? Are you trying to reinvent the brand? What is it that you want the audience to know about this campaign? And finally, identify any requirements of or limitations on that message. So all good, I don't want to say all, but all good ad campaigns begin with a sound creative strategy. So let's look at some of the terms in the creative side. There's a slogan, a word or a phrase used to identify a product or a company. We all pretty much know slogans. A good slogan will summarize a product or a company's benefits in some sort of memorable way. Something that people are going to remember. So these are some that you may or may not know. Do you all know what Murray State's slogan is? They use this a lot on billboards, I've noticed. It is Kentucky's Public Ivy University. It's actually, in my opinion, a very good slogan for Murray State. Some of the other ones that I'm sure you guys have seen over the years, Just Do It from Nike. Obviously, if you're looking at my slide 44, you'll see the Nike check, and then you see Just Do It. Nowhere on there does it say Nike, but when you see Just Do It, you think of Nike. So that's a very good slogan. Yo quiero Taco Bell. I want Taco Bell. What about What would you do for a Klondike bar? You guys remember that? Probably singing that jingle in your head. Finger licking good was one that KFC used. Another term is a logo. Everyone knows what a logo is, but I want to make sure that you guys don't overlook some of these as just being common sense. You need to make sure that you understand these definitions and you can recognize them on the final exam. So a logo is a graphic element that represents a company or a product. These on slide 49 are some of the logos that NBC has had over the years. Obviously, it has continued to develop, but they've always stuck with the peacock colors. Next is the Murray State logo. You can see the graphic. And they use that interchangeably. It may be the outline, just the yellow outline of the shield with Murray or Murray State University. They may take the shield and fill in some of the colors. But the main thing is with the Murray State ones, they're sticking to those same colors. And there is consistency throughout. If you are always changing your logo of either your company or your product, then that consistency is really gone for the consumer. And consumers, we know through research, like consistency. So what's a signature? The use of the slogan and the logo together. You can see on slide 55, it has the Murray at the top, and then Kentucky's Public Ivy University, and you guys have probably seen that one. What's a layout? A layout is a working drawing of what a print ad will look like. It contains all the elements that will be used in the ad. So it's almost a rough draft of sorts of everything laid out together. There is a thumbnail sketch, which is a miniature drawing that tests different layout elements. So you may know that you want to have something very specific in your ad, but the thumbnail sketch allows you to add this or take this out, bring this in, things like that, to really be flexible to figure out what works. A rough layout is a drawing in the size of the actual ad. So you wouldn't do one that was really small, that was going to be a full page in the magazine. You would do that full page. A drawing in the size of the actual ad that contains all of the elements to be used in the ad. So you kind of have a pretty good idea by this point. There's a comprehensive layout, or sometimes called a mechanical layout. It's a completed layout that is in final form and shows the ad exactly as it will appear in final form and includes all type, images, colors, things like that. By the time you get to this point, you are probably sending it to your client to get their approval. You always want to make sure that they have seen it in the exact form that it will appear in the advertisement. Typography, the effective use of type. It's important because it builds the words used in the print ads. And there is a wrong way to do it, and it really can ruin the message. For example, if you look at slide 54, I have the word typography written in bold, something that I'm doing consistently throughout the slides, but I change up the typography that's used, and I think it's sans serif or something like that. Actually it's papyrus. So that is a terrible font or typography for me to use for slides. If we were in class and I put this up on the projector it would be difficult to read. So for that purpose, it wouldn't be right. And the same thing can hold true if you're doing an advertisement as well. A script, the text of a television or radio commercial. Slide 66 gives you an example of what a script looks like. We call it, in journalism, we call it two-column format. And it literally is because you have two columns. The left is your video, and that's going to tell you a close-up, a medium shot, a wide shot. It's going to give you the camera cues, as well as tell you what video to use. For instance, in television, they use these. So the news packages that you see on, say, WPSD newscast, on the left-hand side, the reporter, when they're actually writing the story, would write it in two-column script format and would put on the left-hand side, I want to use video of cars going by, video of so-and-so. Insert a SOT, or what we call an interview. A sound on tape would be a SOT or a bite. That way, the editor, when they're going back to edit it and put it together in a full package, knows which video to use when. And then on the right-hand side, you have the audio. And this is where you literally write out every single word that goes in there. That way, you can match up your audio to your video. So in journalism and television, we call it writing to video. That way, if you're in your audio, you're talking about trees, you can make sure that your video lines up. And that's important to do as well sometimes in advertising. Next is a storyboard. A storyboard is a series of drawings and that accompany script material used to present a TV commercial to a client. So basically, you've got this giant board, and it's typically electronic these days, and it shows every image. And you can see in slide 67 an example of that, of how it starts out. And you can see every image as it gets to the final. And that way you can show the advertiser. The drawings are of the key scenes. They're used, typically storyboards are used to get the client approval as you are going through the production process. Residual, money paid to talent in a TV or radio commercial every time it is run after 13 weeks for the life of the commercial. So if it is something that is used over and over and over again after it runs for 13 weeks, obviously the talent is getting paid. You get that initial payment. But if it's something that they're going to continue to use, then you would get the residual. You would get paid for that as it continues to run. Talent, the actors, actresses, announcers, the sports stars, whoever it is that you use either in your television or your radio commercials. Theater of the mind. In radio, a writer paints a picture in the mind of the listener through the use of sound. Obviously, in radio, you're not going to have that visual component. So that's when the script becomes even more important, because you want to make sure that you're very articulate, and sometimes it can be even more difficult to get the point across when you can't visually see it. So that sometimes is a downfall of radio. A jingle. I am going to post a couple of links to some YouTube videos that have jingles on there that you guys can go and watch, that if we were in class I would have showed you. We all know jingles. It's a selling message in a radio or a TV commercial that is set to music. And I'm sure we could all probably right now think of 5 jingles that come to mind. The one that sticks in my head right now is Nationwide, because of the Peyton Manning commercial where he's humming the jingle to it. And he's not even using the words. but just the music even sticks in my head. So if we were in class, we probably would have played the logo game so that I can show you how important those logos are for brand recognition, which is something that is more important when you get into brand awareness, when that product has already been established and you're trying to maintain and make it a constant reminder for consumers. Coca-Cola, for example, would be an example of that. Live action uses real people in real settings. Animation, I think we all know what animation is, but the official definition for this course is uses a series of intricate, ever-changing drawings to present a selling message. Cartoon-like commercials are basically what they are. Now, stop action uses a 3D sculpture or sculptures as the visual instead of doing a live commercial. You could do a stop action. For each frame of the footage, the sculpture changes just a little bit. Also, with the stop action, or sometimes it's called stop motion, it's a fluid motion that is created when the commercial is aired at normal speed. And claymation is a form of stop motion. And I've got a cute little Vimeo video that a little kid created. It's a claymation that I will post as well so you guys can see that. It's very cute. Still photography uses still photography as the visual basis for the commercial. Motion can be created by moving the camera across the photograph. There are times in news stories, for example, where there may not be a whole lot of video to get on the story, but there are still ways that you can get a story out of it and have video. And that's something that I teach my reporting kids in my night class in Murray, is that you can make still photography and still items into video. You can always record pictures. You can move. You can pan the camera. You can zoom in or out. Dateline is very good about doing that. You can record yearbooks. You can record pieces of paper, data, records, documents, things like that. And that is it for chapters 16 through 20. I know that probably was a lot of information in just a short period, but I wanted to ensure that you guys got the main points and understood what the creative side of the campaign is. So for now, I will end this, and we'll do chapter 22 on a separate video.